So today's tangle is a beautiful organic tangle that I have actually put my own spin on. It starts with Saturday, oops, I misspelled Saturday, by Yoko Kageyama CZT. And this is basically what it looks like. I've decided to add a spiral in the center rather than just a circle or a dot, and some little perfs around there. And then I'm building this out a little bit like a pansy to make it into a big fluffy blossom. I'm using today a Pigment Liner 0.1 pen, a Tomboy 2B, and just my tortillon as well as a kneaded eraser. We're going to do this on white. This is just an inspiration for you. But the shading, I will show you, this is done just tone in tone like I've always taught in my other tutorials. But we are going to do a sample of the shading as well, so you'll know how to do it. Here are just a few of the things I was playing around with, you know, trying to come up with that tangle. And I was thinking it looked a lot like a pansy, so I started coloring it pansy colored. I'm trying to teach myself a bunch of new flowers like this one. This is called Spiral Rose, and we'll do that next time. And the reason I am teaching myself a bunch of new floral tangles is that I'd like to tangle a door downstairs that goes out into our barn. And it's what I call the spider bathroom. And I wanted to make it a little bit more inviting. So my husband sanded and painted it, and I will do a whole little tutorial on that. But that's the inspiration for all of these flowers right now. Okay, I am going to start. It is a really fun tangle. There's a bit of a trick to it, but we will figure that out together. Okay, since I'm going to do a cluster, and I'm always thinking of like movement in my tile, I'm going to start up here in the upper right hand corner, and I'm just going to make my spiral. And I always like to weight it, to give it some dimension. And then I'm going to put some little perfs around. And of course, filling in those little triangular interstices. And now comes kind of the trickier part. There are 5 petals, and that's always a little bit harder than just 4 or 6. So what I like to do until I get this down, I like to make a tick mark trying to divide this circle up into 5 segments. Let's see, let's put one here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that looks pretty even. That could be over a little bit. And these won't show, you can just erase them when you're done. And then we're going to go for our, up here, we're going to make kind of a hooked, like an upside down C. So if you look at it like that, it looks like a C. We definitely want to have a hook on it, okay? So, and it's up a little farther, about this far up. And then we're going to do another one here, about pretty much the same distance away from that circle. That's number 2. Here's number 3. See how I'm using these tick marks as a guideline. 4 and 5. And they don't have to be perfect. And then we're just going to make a straight line down where that curves up and fill that in black. And then come around. You can bow out a little bit or come down straight. Let's do that again. Straight line down. We want to come to the center a little bit more narrow than it is up at the top. Always turn your tile to make sure that you have your hand comfortable. And at this point, if you want to, you can erase those lines, those ticks. And you don't have to make the ticks if you think you can just wing it, but it kind of helps me space them out better. Okay, so here we are, upper right-hand corner, and we're going to continue on with the Tangle Saturday. And we're going to start at the top of this little crescent and jump off. And I am wiggling it. And I try to wiggle it so that it builds up and then comes back down. Kind of makes a little bit of a point there. Always on the outside of this, joining to the inside of the other one. And there's the basic Saturday. Now we're going to build this up into that fluffy blossom, like I said, and I'm finding the center point, and then I'm just going to make more of a shallow curved petal from one midsection to the other midsection, and then continue that all the way around. And then I'm going to do one more layer so that it gives it even more of dimension, just like a peony or a rose. So here's the midsection. I'll go the different direction this time, to the midsection. Come up, go to the center, and come back up. And that's going off the page, of course, which is great. Then I like to, you can stop there and just shade, or you can use some hatch marks to give some further shading effect. And where I would shade is not so much on these little, almost like scrolls, but rather in between. I like to keep these in the center pretty much light to emphasize this, that they're curling up and hitting the light. This is that eyelash stroke, and you can either pull it or push it. I like to do, actually I do it either way. I'm pretty much try to make myself be able to do either way. Now I'm going to go ahead and shade a little bit around each of these areas, each of the lines here, around the whole outside perimeter of this first section of petals. I like this line work, this hatching, because it gives the blossom kind of that old-fashioned historical botanical look that's combines nicely with shading as well, even though you could just leave it like this and you still get that effect. You can also add some more shading like I just did here by just thickening the line. Here and there, certainly not everywhere, or else you will lose the effect. And that's something that's just really fine polishing touches. You don't have to do that. But it certainly does give it more character. So that's our first variation of Saturday. And I was just going to do 3. And so I'm going to try to make my centers kind of go in a C shape here. So I'm going to put my next center about over here. Okay, for some reason that quit on me, and I don't know why. So I got little further along here, and I'm going to continue on finishing up this inner part of our blossom, which is the Saturday tangle. This one's a little smaller, so I'm going to kind of fudge it. And there we have blossom number 2. So third pansy, or third blossom, Saturday blossom, we're going to go like this. So I want my center to be about here. This time I'm going to just wing it and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This one's kind of far apart, but that's okay. That one got wonky. That's what happens when you just wing it. We don't care. This is about the process. And relaxing and enjoying and discovering new things when you make little quote-unquote mistakes. And I will go ahead and finish that up, but I want to show you the shading. And before I do that, I want to show you, I'm going to try to connect this a little bit with a bit of a line to give us that accented movement. And I'm using that lovely tangle called Beadlines. Don't remember who did it. I will try to look it up and put it in the video if I can find it. But it's a lovely tangle to just loosen things up and make things lacy and light. And of course we could add leaves to this like I've shown you in my sketchbook, and I will be doing so. But I think it's awfully pretty just to have sometimes the simplicity of just the blossom. So there we have the 3 blossoms, and now I'm going to show you how I would shade them. Our hatching is already indicating where to shade. So let's shade down here where we don't have hatching so that you can really see it clearly, and then you can always go back on and add the hatching after the shading. Or you can obviously shade right over it. So we wanted to keep this section light, so I'm going to go all the way around that area and down in the middle. So this stays white. That makes it seem like this petal is going up and down and curving up to the light source. I'll also add a little bit in there for now, and I'm going to just blend that out first. And I bring it up lightly, but I try to keep that tip very light. if you feel like that's a little bit too much shading, you can always knock it down with your kneaded eraser and then blend it back out. Now, I would put a little bit just with what's left on my tortillon here to indicate that that also is meeting the center, going down into the center. It can get really kind of dark around there. And then we're going to just, wherever there's an outline, we're going to just put a little bit of graphite. Especially in this part here. With a soft pencil, a little bit goes a long way. Okay, blending that out. So one more thing that I would suggest to shade if you have this overlap going on. This one is down here and this one's on top. So we want this to be darker to show that it's receding. And it could be quite a bit darker. So don't worry that you're going right over some shading you've already put on. But you see what it does? It gives us that atmospheric perspective. And we would do the same thing up here. And since that's not shaded completely, you can really see what that does. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this off. And just like the chefs on TV with their baked pies and cakes, here's mine done baking out of the oven. This is what your final project will look like. So something like this. So this is my take on Saturday. And I hope you enjoy this project and keep following me so that you'll finally see what my spider bathroom door is going to look like. This is just the beginning of learning those new flowers. So have fun with this. And of course, again, please do post to Annie's Botangle Alumni Student Facebook page with your creations. You guys are blowing me away. Bye-bye.